Welcome to Dub Nation, the official show of the Utah Warriors of Major League Rugby. I am Jarom Jordan. He is Banksy. Today on the show, we'll update you on how the Crossroads Cup is going. Remember, USA Eagles have come out of that. We'll see what talent comes out of it this year. We'll talk to Brendan O'Meara, new Warriors attack coach. A Warrior retires. We'll talk about who and what his legacy was. Some MLR news and notes from around the league. And a World Cupdate, because, hey, that's still going on. We're not even to the quarterfinals yet, baby. Let's go. Okay, Crossroads Cup, week one. A couple of scores to give you. These are great team names, Banksy. The Bull Moose beat the Grey Wolves 60-36. The Wranglers took down the Trappers 37-22. In week two, last week, the Bull Moose beat the Wranglers 60-22, so 2 wins for the Bull Moose, and 60 exactly in back-to-back games. And the Trappers beat the Grey Wolves 34-22. The losing team in 3 of the 4 have scored exactly a Clyde Drexler's worth of points. What have you made of 2 weeks of the Crossroads Cup so far?
I think the highlight of all of that was the Clyde Drexler reference in there. What a beautiful piece of broadcasting that is, Jarom. I really think it's been entertaining rugby. We're seeing a lot of former first-team Warriors players, guys that are now playing and giving back, both playing and coaching at the club level, bringing up some of these young, very exciting players. There's a lot of really fast physical rugby being played by all of these teams, and it's just fun to watch.
The all-tournament team of the week for week 2 includes, hey, look at the right lock, Matt Jensen coming out of retirement there. Tavite Ika used to be a BYU player. Sione Mahe was on the roster, a draft pick, a guy who's the player of the week. And when the Eagles were in town, Bakesy, he actually practiced with them. So this kid's making strides here.
Well, and I expect to see a lot more familiar names come out of these lineups and these teams of the week, because the expectation now for these guys is to continue to play at a high level. They've had a taste of what, a Division I select side level rugby should feel and taste like. And now that's the expectation in the bar that these guys will have to continue to rise to. And the level of talent and the depth of the player pool here is so incredible that I just see this competition getting better and better.
Okay, and it's not over. Week 3, Grey Wolves take on the Wranglers, Bull Moose take on the Trappers, and then week 4 is the finals and the third place game that's coming up October 14th. So go check these games out in person. Some good talent there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And in fact, you can go watch it in person as well, like we mentioned, at Zions Bank Stadium.
Tickets are available now. Make sure you're there for the Crossroads Cup championship rounds at Zions Bank Stadium, October 14th. Games start at noon and 2. Come down and let's show the world what an incredible rugby scene we have here in Utah, not just when it's the boys in red and black and Warriors Nation that are playing in Zions Bank Stadium, but to support your local clubs and your local players, because you legitimately could be seeing the next Joe Mano, the next Tomasi Tonga, the next Jeremiah Noah Essay, and one of so many others that have come through the pathway system for the Utah Warriors that includes the Crossroads Cup. So be there October 14th, Zions Bank Stadium, 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. for the finals, the championship rounds of the Crossroads Cup.
Well, with the departure of Sean Davies as attack coach, the Utah Warriors have hired Brendan O'Meara, who is going to oversee the attack. He's had some really good experience with the American Raptors, Austin Gilgroni, St. Mary's, USA U20s, and now he's the attack coach for the Utah Warriors. Banksy spoke with Brendan recently.
Well, welcome, Coach Brendan O'Meara. How are you?
Banksy, good to be here. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. Excited to get you on Dub Nation so that the fans can get their first taste of what their new attack coach looks like, sounds like, and get to know you a little bit. So talk about of where you've been. I know. Well, let's go back. You picked up the game in high school like a lot of kids here in America, right?
I did, yeah. The San Francisco Golden Gate Rugby Club in San Francisco, the Bay Area, started sophomore year of high school, and that was my first time playing the game. I played all the American sports growing up, loved basketball, played football all through high school, played soccer. My parents were Irish, both of them born and raised in Ireland before they came to the States.
I couldn't have guessed that with the last name, Coach.
I know. But ironically, not rugby people at all. Like they were more soccer, the Gaelic sports, Gaelic football. So playing rugby, my older brother and I starting out playing rugby was the first for our family. But they were just sports people, so they loved it and got behind it.
So we talk about the Gaelic sports. Have you ever played, hurling?
Hurling, I've never played it as in a full official game. I've messed around and found out quickly I shouldn't play it because I struggled to hit that ball. I don't know what it was. I stopped playing baseball in 6th grade, so it just wasn't there for me. So messed around a little bit with cousins.
Some of those Gaelic sports are amazing. The Irish are absolutely insane when it comes to their sport, and that's carried on. So you leave Golden Gate, an absolutely iconic club on the West Coast, and then you spend some time at another legendary club in Nyack before going overseas to New Zealand. Talk about what made you want to play first for Nyack, and then kind of make that pilgrimage like a lot of Americans want to down to play in New Zealand.
Yeah, and you may have skipped the St. Mary's piece because you're a BYU Utah guy, but we're not gonna skip over the best program in college rugby, St. Mary's College, which I made a short stop, not a long drive from San Francisco. Went to St. Mary's College, played there, and then actually Bruce McLean, who's the legendary coach and just member of Nyack, New York Athletic Club, he reached out when I was at St. Mary's and just said, "Hey, if you want to come play, we'd love to have you come out here. We'll help you get a job, set you up." So went out there for a few months and then wanted to just keep the traveling and the rugby train moving. So went down to New Zealand, just played a season in club rugby and just wanted to experience what it was like in the mecca of rugby, New Zealand, where the grandmas can tell you who won on the weekend and how bad the club team played and what skills you're missing, and just immerse yourself in the game and that culture. So yeah, did that, New York, New Zealand, and then came back home.
So what made the switch to coaching? When did you pick that up?
So I came back. I had a couple knee injuries, lingering things, because I always wanted to come back and play for Golden Gate's men's side in the old Super League. That was a goal when I started in high school. And it took a while to get the body right, managing a full-time job, and finally did that for a couple seasons until the body broke down again and couldn't balance working and keeping the body in good nick for playing rugby at that level. So was probably out of the game for a couple years just as a fan. And then I don't even know what year it was, probably like 2014, 2015. Just reached out to Tim O'Brien, the head coach of St. Mary's, who coached me, USA Rugby Hall of Famer, and the program had expanded. So when I played, it was like there was weekends I played A side and B side just because of numbers. And it had grown to the point where it was like 70 kids, 3 teams, 3 games every weekend. So I just said, "Hey, I'd love to get involved. I've worked it out with my job. I can come out a few days a week." And he said, "Yeah, like perfect timing. We got a bigger program." And then jumped in and started the coaching journey.
When you've had some incredible players through your time at St. Mary's, and it has become one of the benchmark programs, like you said, along with clubs like BYU and Utah here, there's so many others like Life that we can throw in. It really is that standard of rugby collegiately that we look forward to. So congratulations on all of that. Now talk the shift to MLR. Well, I guess the stop at Glendale first, right? Before MLR?
No, it was MLR first. So yeah, St. Mary's, one thing, a lot of people don't realize is Tim, his entirety coaching, and probably, one of the few teams in that top 5, 6 programs in the country where we're still all volunteers. We don't get paid a dime, and we manage full-time jobs while coaching the program and keeping it competitive nationally. So I was working a full-time job at the Port of San Francisco, doing that, and looking for an opportunity to get into coaching full-time. Just it needed to be the right fit. My wife is actually also a coach. She coaches college basketball, and she had stepped away from coaching Division I hoops and was working in more coach development, subscription-based online platform from home. And she gave me the green light. "Hey, if you get an opportunity, we now have the ability. We're mobile." So didn't know if anything was ever going to come of it. Had to be the right fit. And I got a call from Dave Hodges about jumping on board with the now notorious Austin Go-Bronies, and going down there, being the academy head coach and being an assistant coach for the MLR side. And so it just worked out, was a good fit. And we made the move down to Austin for what we thought was going to be a few years. And unfortunately, nothing due to the people in the rugby group, the performance group, it ended prematurely.
That I think everybody knows that was a top shelf business decision that went wrong, and it had nothing to do with the performance of the team or the staff on board. And I think a lot of people were very, disappointed in the way that panned out, because it was a great franchise and one that's still missed in MLR. So Austin folds, and we know what happens there, and then opportunity comes knocking in Colorado.
Yeah, so the American Raptors, they had left the MLR. They were doing their thing with crossover athletes. And yeah, my wife and I were both in a bit of limbo of what was next, and they were making a change and going back to more of rugby players with some higher level crossovers and entering an actual rugby competition in the Super Rugby Americas with the South American developing sides. And so it just kind of timing worked out. We were going to drive from Austin to Oregon to my in-laws, stopped in Denver for a cup of coffee. We actually also stopped in Montana. My wife gets offered a job at University of Montana to coach. I get offered to coach at the Raptors. So went home, had some discussions, and I went and coached in Denver. She went and coached in Montana, and we figured it out. And yeah, no, I mean, that was an awesome opportunity to take on a bigger role with the Raptors. And I was coaching a few guys I've coached in the past, mainly Peyton.
And how was that too? With that XO's program made some incredible strides with those athletes, taking guys that were D1 level athletes with limited or almost no rugby experience, and I got to see them play a couple of different times. I've known Paul Emmerich for a while, and he worked with that program as well. That just the physicality and the athleticism of what they were able to do should really kind of give us a peek into the future of what rugby can be here, right? Like you got a little taste of that developmentally there working in Colorado.
Yeah, no, it was amazing to see it. And I think now they're doing it's the right path. It has to be a mix. To go all crossover is tough just because, but it's a bit of the blind leading the blind, and the coaches can only do so much. You need some peer feedback, some peer coaching, and you just need someone modeling certain skills. So mixing in real rugby players and taking a high performance rugby environment and putting some of these athletes in it, it just will quickly show who's going to make it and who's not. And it just creates a much quicker trajectory for the development of those skills. And a lot of the part that's harder to see is the mental skills, the reaction times, the ability to read the game. So no, I mean, it was really cool to see. And I think what crossovers have been part of American rugby from the beginning. It's been like Luke Gross was a crossover from basketball, became a professional rugby player in Europe, played for the Eagles.
Hall of Famer now as well. Yeah.
Hall of Famer. One of my teammates in St. Mary's, Kevin Swern, his first time ever touching a rugby ball was sophomore year of college, goes on to play in the top 14, captains Sevens Eagles, plays for the Eagles. So it was always there. We have the athletes. It just sometimes the hardest part is, above the neck, what people can really adapt to and learn quickly. And it's a program that allows that to happen at a much quicker level.
Well, and now that translates to almost directly what academy teams are trying to do all across the MLR in developing these select sides and these second 15 teams, if you will, to bring in these athletes, give them legitimate, experienced, tenured rugby players to play with and grow the game, right? I mean, you did it in Austin. We've seen it happen in Colorado with them catching up to kind of what the MLR model has been. What's going to be your role in that here now that you're in Utah?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to be top down. So I think every part of the organization has to have some eye and some involvement in the development of the local community and development of the younger athletes. So like just this last weekend, I was in Salt Lake. I'm not permanently in Salt Lake yet. I'm in Eugene, Oregon with my wife. She's coaching in Oregon now, but I went down for the Crossroads Cup. And one thing that has been amazing to see going down there is like Utah has rugby people. Like this is a rugby community. Like some of the talent being displayed in 4 teams that majority of not professional rugby players yet, it's pretty impressive to see. And there's just something there. We just have to tap into it. I know the Warriors have been, and they want to continue, but that's just for us as coaches. We just need to be as open as we can be to the local community, to coaches and players. It's really important. We're not telling people how they should do things. We can be learning from them as much as they can be seeing what we do and taking stuff away from us. We can see what they do and take things away from them. So it's just a consistent involvement, and just that's what it's about, right? It's how the game in all the countries that have success, it starts with the community, the clubs, And there's definitely something in Utah that's special that I haven't seen in other parts of the country as dense. Like the Bay Area has a lot of rugby, lots of clubs, but Utah, it was crazy to me. It was so impressive. There was a sevens tournament on Saturday, bunch of teams, men's and women's, high school and adult level. And then the Crossroads Cup had 4 games going on, and it was good rugby, passionate rugby. So we just got to be immersed in it.
It is absolutely a scene here, and it's something special to be a part of. So that leads me easily into my next question. Why Utah and why now? How did you make that connection with Coach and coming into Salt Lake City?
Man, that's a great question. If you would have told me I was going to be coaching the Utah Warriors a year ago, 2 years ago, because of the dense rugby people, I just always kind of thought Utah was sorted out. That they're not going to need to go from the outside. I'm actually friends with Sean Davies, who formerly was the attack and backs coach, and he actually we chatted at the end of our seasons, and he let me know he was going to be moving on to other things, and mentioned like, hey, like, I'd put a good word for you. I mentioned that you'd be a great guy to get with me leaving, and I even in that moment I was just like, oh yes, I appreciate it, thanks. Like, didn't think too much of it. I didn't really know the coaches besides Sean, and he was leaving. But no, then just a few phone calls and connections, and rugby's a small place. So Greg Cooper, he's coached some people that I worked with in Austin who put in a good word for me. And then Robbie Abels played with in his past and worked with some people I've coached and I have connections with. And then Kimball and Wayne, they're BYU guys. And Wayne actually coached me for the Pacific Coast Grizzlies for a couple college all-star tournaments. So him and I have a connection from back in the day, and we've always, been friendly. When he was coaching BYU, I see him every year because of St. Mary's connection. So yeah, man, I didn't see it coming, to be honest with you. I didn't see Austin.
So a little
coming.
serendipity, maybe, like you were meant to be here, right place, right time.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's like the conversations felt really good. Alignment's incredibly important to me in this profession, and obviously I have some balancing to do with my wife coaching Division I basketball here in Oregon. But it just kind of, the conversation is really good. The alignment seemed there, and I have to tell you, since I've joined on, that's been completely how it's gone. Like Robbie and I just hit it off really well. Greg, we're jumping on Zooms. We're having a lot of calls about planning and the recruitment and everything. And it's just been a really enjoyable group to be a part of.
So you have a lot of exciting pieces in your attack when we look at the Utah Warriors. Obviously, when you have weapons like Joe Mano on the outside, who was arguably the best winger in MLR, with maybe Nate Augsburger being the only exception to that. You have arguably the best fullback in Caleb Makini, just won the MPC with the Magpies down in New Zealand, an incredible player. There's so many pieces. Jolie Hodgson, finding the fountain of youth here in the United States. It's an exciting attack. What do you look forward to bringing to that? And what most excites you about the players and personnel you have here in Utah?
Yeah, I think the exciting thing and the beauty is there's a great foundation there. Like there's talented players. They had good coaching. They will continue to have good coaching from the other coaches I'll be working with. So this isn't you come in and rip up the script. It's, my biggest things on attack are just the little things create big things, which clearly the big things are something that the Warriors don't have an issue with. There's so much X factor across the park. So it's like anything. To me, it's the relationships with the players and just learning what they're about and seeing them develop. That's something I'm always going to be committed to, is just getting those guys individually and collectively to continue to progress and get better. And yes, you named a bunch of guys I'm excited to work with, and some of the younger talent like Tomasi in the centers, Sione Mahi. I know he was injured last year, and they were really looking for him to
playing well in the Crossroads Cup now too, and kind of getting back into form
really
and health.
Well.
Yeah,
playing really well. I've had those guys are around, so I've had some really good conversations with them. Tomasi looks fitter than he's ever been. So there's a real opportunity, and those guys just coming up and competing. And there's real opportunity for some breakout years from some of the young guys who've been around and are local. So yeah, it's and just working with the coaches. I'm excited. Greg Cooper, obviously, his experience speaks for itself. Robbie, and then looks like we'll get a defense coach on board. I don't know if it's announced yet, who I've met and have some connection with through people I've worked with, who sounds like will be a great fit. So it's gonna be an exciting year. I mean, I can't wait to just get down there and get going.
Well, I won't press you anymore for some insider information about that because it's not public yet. So, mum's the word.
I didn't slip too far.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, your new attacking coach and assistant for the Utah Warriors. Thank you so much, Brendan O'Meara, for your time with us. And we look forward to having you here with Dub Nation. And as the season goes on, we'll talk about some of the more exciting things that have gone on with that attack and how it's developed, and hopefully get to know you more and better. So thank you so much, brother.
Thank you. Love being here and look forward to getting down there full time come January.
Good stuff from Brendan, and he's got a lot of talent to work with. This has been a high-scoring, high-flying team the last couple of years. We expect the same next year.
I think this is a good, better, best situation having Brendan here for this Warriors attack. And if you want to be there to see them in the 2024 Major League Rugby season and be outfitted in the best gear in Major League Rugby, it's time to hit up the team store. Go to shop.warriorsrugby.com. Cop the 4 stripes in the red and black, the home, away, the alternate, the special editions. All of the gear that you need to support your Warriors is available now at shop.warriorsrugby.com.
Hey, got a rep as well. Let's go. There's all kinds.
Always wear the logo wherever you go. Spread the word
everywhere, baby. It's the only red I wear. You know that. Okay. A Warrior has retired. It is Calvin Whiting, the standout center for the Utah Warriors. 49 appearances from 2019 to 2023. He's one of 5 Utah Warriors who have scored at least 100 points. He has 4 caps with the Eagles on 2 different tours. Calvin Whiting's going to be missed. He was one of the best defensive players in the league at center, and a guy who took over at fly half for a while a couple of years ago and scored a really meaningful conversion to win a game at Seattle. Notably, this is a guy who, scored a try with a massive injury, broken nose, I think it was last year, which is crazy. Just played through it, and Calvin Whiting's going to be missed, man. He had a tremendous career.
And I've had the pleasure of knowing Calvin since he was playing in high school. I got to work with him a little bit. My cousin actually played with him. So I've known him since he was a young man, and he is as good a person as he is a rugby player. And congratulations for him with time now to focus on family and a career after rugby. He will be remembered as a Warrior forever. And that pairing of he and Tyler Fisher as kind of the stalwarts at that 12 and 13 jersey through the early part of this club will forever be legendary. Those two have been incredible together. So there's a big hole to fill now in that centers pairing for the Utah Warriors going forward.
Yeah, big physical South African centers who have really incorporated into the community here in Utah. So we say so long to Calvin, and we look forward to what he's up to the next little while and who replaces him in upcoming player announcements, which will be fun as well.
If you are ready for some more fun with the family, the Utah Warriors are all about it. It's one of our 4 pillars of this organization. So we've thrown together a little trunk or treat coming up October 26th. Jarom, are we talking about Halloween?
We are.
October 26th, Zions Bank Stadium from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Come out, bring your kids, dress them up as the little future Warriors that they are going to be. We'll have players, coaches, all kinds of staff members on hand, plus the community, Warriors Nation, and the Ohana will all be there. Make sure you're there for the trunk or treat. Get more at warriorsrugby.com.
Like September 28th, my wife was decorating her house in Halloween stuff. I was like, can we wait till October 1st? Like, it's no. If you've been to Walmart recently, you know it's been in the mix for a few weeks now.
That stuff's been out since Memorial Day.
Like, oh, why is Valentine's Day candy? Yeah, that's weird. MLR news and notes. A couple from around the league. Houston SaberCats have traded for Johan Momsen and Justin Basson from Rugby ATL/LA. We don't know what to call them quite yet. San Diego traded for Viliami Helu, who we saw at America First Field with the United States against Stade Toulousain. And Chicago is returning to SeatGeek Stadium. Of course, that's where they played last year and where they hosted the MLR Championship. What do you think of any of these moves?
I think there's a lot of great players that are moving around right now. We saw Danny Christensen make a big move last week as well, going from Dallas to San Diego. A lot of players are on the move, and a lot of teams right now are setting themselves up for a really good spring and training practice. So expect a lot more, not just from other clubs, but of course from your Utah Warriors coming up very, very soon.
Okay, World Cupdate continues in pool play through this Sunday, Saturday the 14th. The quarterfinals begin. Let's flow through the 4 pools and kind of assess each pool. So far, Pool A, France, of course, out in front of New Zealand. Italy, though, tied with New Zealand there. Italy would have to pull off something crazy here to get through Pool A. What do you make of your Kiwis?
Dropping the opener to France and not going as the number 1 seed through, not necessarily the most terrible thing for the Kiwis. A plus 133 points differential. People thought, everybody else, when they're playing at their peak, they go, oh, they could win the World Cup, But when New Zealand are the tiniest little bit vulnerable, everybody else thinks they have a chance, So that's the expectation for New Zealand. France, dark horse going into it, the home nation. You kind of want to root for the French to win it on home soil. And, they never have. So I'm really excited to see how these later rounds fall out. But it's going to be France, New Zealand coming out of that pool, clearly.
Yeah, putting up 96 points on Italy was how you get the plus 133 there. Okay, Pool B, South Africa edging out Ireland at the top there. Scotland trying to punch its way through on the weekend with 10 points, and Tonga and Romania with no points there. But that's a tough group right there as well.
Big, tough group. Obviously, South Africa playing some incredible rugby. I want to give a big shout out to Tonga, though. The first nation to cross the try line 3 different times against South Africa's defense in the last 7 or 8 test matches. Tonga did something that no other nation has been able to do and match that physicality of South Africa. So maybe a little game plan for other nations to look at. Big shouts out to Tonga for what was a good performance against the Boks.
Yeah, lost 49-18, but look, the Springboks are playing great. Okay, Pool C. Wales out in front, 14 points. Australia, 11. Fiji has kind of been the talk of the tournament in many ways, showing way better in 15s recently. Of course, they've dominated 7s. And here we go with Georgia and Portugal right there. I would have loved to see the USA in here somewhere, but Wales looking like they're going to get through, and then Australia and Fiji vying for the spot. But hey, one more game left.
There's one more game left and a very realistic chance, and I would love nothing more to see Eddie Jones go home after the preliminary rounds. Fiji and Wales are probably the 2 teams that I would pick to go through to the quarterfinal rounds right now. I think in a shock, Australia misses out on the quarters for the first time.
Ooh, that would be wild. Oh, man, you're calling for some craziness. Let's go. And last but not least, Pool D. England way out in front, 14 points. And then it's Argentina, Japan, Samoa with 9, Chile with nothing. This is coming down to the wire in Group D.
It's really all to play for a couple of these teams, but the best 2 teams, I think, in that pool, the teams that have been the most consistent, England clearly have the easiest path into the quarters there. They just had to not be terrible, and they were going to get through. Argentina, a big, tough physical team, but they don't have the flash and the finish that a team like England does. Japan has their moments. Samoa had a moment where they could have made that break and been spectacular against Japan, but the loss against Japan was just too much to overcome there. So at this point from this pool, I don't care as long as it's anybody but England in the semis.
Okay, then. I have an opinion already. Pool play resumes Thursday, New Zealand and Uruguay, and then France and Italy on Friday. And so, yeah, hey, quarterfinals coming up on the 14th. Then it gets super real. We've had some great matches so far, some real blowouts, some real stinkers, but hey, it's the Rugby World Cup, man. It's awesome. Okay, that'll do it for us. Like and share this episode of Dub Nation and follow the Utah Warriors on social media because, hey, upcoming player announcements in the next couple of weeks. Let's go. For Brendan O'Meara, our guest today, Mason Benson and Banksy, I'm Jarom Jordan. Go Warriors.